It's a Sunday and everywhere's shut.
Hi everybody, so it's Tuesday, it's been a few days. I've managed to get some spray painting done. It's been quite challenging. It's not gone very smoothly at all, but what I'll do now is go back in time. I'm going to edit a little bit of the footage that I have managed to get. It's been really tricky trying to get any decent camera angles because I've had to tarpaulin off all of the shelter. And I've sandbags, and the wind does not stop blowing constantly for the last few days, and it's just been an absolute nightmare. The dust and keeping the dust out and things like that. So let's go back in time now, I think to maybe Saturday, and work our way through the weekend and what happened.
Hello everyone, so it's Saturday, the following day after the last video, obviously. Straight back at it. Thank you for all those people that did some comments in the comment section below. Thank you so much for getting involved and helping me out. I've taken all of your advice and come up with a plan I'm going to do. I did a little bit more research. I also went back to the paint shop, and those guys are great. So I'm going to put some information about their paint shop because they've been an absolute massive help, not only with being able to walk in there and not being laughed out of the shop because I'm like, hello, I've never sprayed a van before. It's okay if I get some stuff and can you talk me through it, instead of them going, no, you're in the wrong place, mate. I think you should just take it to a body shop. They're like, yep, sure, come on, have a sit down, let's talk you through it. They've been really good, really good. Loads of advice from them guys. The dad, the owner of the shop, he actually is a paint sprayer, so he's taught me through everything and he's given me loads of help. He's given me enough advice to help me get through this stage where I'm at now, where I've kind of put some base coat down days ago with no lacquer on, and I can still get around this. So this is where we're at now. I've got this door and the other door, both in the reveal and the inside edge of the door, both in base coat. The inside of the sliding door and the tailgate, and then the reveal of the tailgate. My plan for now, neighbour's caught me doing a video, he's laughing at me. So what is my plan for now, intermittently with the weather, I'm going to spray the roof, get the tailgate open, mask off the van, leaving the roof and the reveals, respray those reveals in base coat. The thinners in that will reactivate what's already on there and it'll blend in. Then get the roof done, including the A-pillar and the scuttle tray, then lacquer it all. Then it means I can start putting glass back in. And then at a later date, next week, when I have another clear day, I'll do all of the outside of the van then, after I've soft masked all of the edges, but we'll come back to that later. He's taught me through it. Let's see how we get on. It's 11 o'clock in the evening. It's been a long day working on the T4. We've ordered Chinese, and it's come with fortune cookies that I can't get into. And I think this is going to reveal how well the paint spraying is going to go tomorrow. And it says, the T4, this is the month when ingenuity stands high on the list.
In other words, it won't get finished. She'll hatch a ridiculous plan.
Oh. I think it's Sunday. So, didn't end up getting any spray done. Spraying yesterday, but we built an extension. Now got a pretty decent setup inside there, lights on, heaters on, van's warming up. Air temperature's now about 16 degrees. It's a little bit humid because it has rain last night and there's still a bit of water on the floor, but it is drying out quite nicely. Providing it doesn't rain, we should have pretty reasonable conditions for spraying today, especially inside here. So come inside, take a look. It feels all right in here. So got some lights up. I'm gonna put another light up on the batten over there, LED. Heater, warming up the van from the inside, so we're not gonna have any moisture on here. So what we're gonna do
is I'm going to paint all of the roof, the rear aperture, the inside of the tailgate once I've masked that up. Aperture, aperture, pillar, scuttle, and obviously around the windscreen. This has already been base coated. It's had no lacquer put on. Oh, and then also there as well. As for the tape, as for the masking up, I've gone for just going around the inside. So the door sits there. So I'm going to end up with a hard line of base coat and lacquer on that tape, obviously. Then, plan is, base coat and lacquer this, let that dry, take off all of the masking up. Then I will mask the roof, and I'm going to use a foam. It's like a self-adhesive foam that you stick on the inside of the aperture there. Put all the doors back on, close the doors up. The door seals against the foam, which seals off this area, and then I can spray the entire side of the van with the doors on, all in one hit. Tailgate, sides, wings, bumpers, just so that it all sort of colour matches as good as I can. It's starting to warm up in here, feels pretty decent. Oh, base coat. So yes, so this has already been base coated a couple of times. I've been given different advice on what's going to happen if I literally just base coat onto this. Some people say this all needs rubbing back so that the new base coat will adhere to it. However, the base coat's 50% thinners. Now, only if I was literally just to get out a little bit of thinners on a cloth and rub it on that, well, it would dissolve it and rub that paint off. So that 50% thinners, it's in that base coat. Once it goes on there, the thinners in it is going to reactivate this base coat, and my other layer that I put on is going to eat into it and merge in and blend. That's the theory anyway.
Your house. Van. You're videoing me, Paul.
Yeah?
You're not being very smart about it. You're not being discreet.
So what I'm doing now is going around the entire van and using panel wipe and tissue and getting all of the remnants of washing it down, all our fingerprints and grease and oils and stuff on the van, being careful not to touch it. Been a bit stressful the last few hours. I've not got any footage other than Kate sticking her phone in through the spray booth earlier on. Got some coats down of the base now, down on the roof and all inside the apertures and the inside of the tailgate. It's blue. It's alright. I need to just let that flash off for a few more minutes, then I'm just going to give it another tack cloth down. So just use these tack cloths, and you can see how much, like if you spray half the roof over here and then go around, you'll have all dust from the mist all settled on the van, so you have to try and tack it all off. The trouble is, if you're doing that, then tacking that off, well then you might disturb the paint you've literally just sprayed. So what I've done is sprayed it and then just done a few other bits and pieces. A few minutes later, go over, this is sort of flashing off, tack cloth the roof, then spray that side. It's had 2 coats on the roof. It all looks matte and flat and boring now because it's flashed off. It's a bit dusty up there from a bit of overspray and stuff.
But when that lacquer goes on, that clear coat, it does look nice. I've not lacquered anything yet, but when you put it on and it's wet, it really looks nice. So that's it with finished on the base coat. I'm happy with it. There are imperfections and there is bits of dirt in some areas, but all in all, it's gone all right, that, for an amateur. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm loving the colour. I like the paint. Finish is looking decent. There is bits of dirt in it, but do you know, I'm not really that bothered. Right, it's going to get tack cloth down, and then I'm going to start putting on the clear. Just being really, really careful not to go on too heavy. As someone mentioned about solvent pop, if you put on too heavy a coat, the solvent can evaporate through and ends up creating an air bubble that's trapped, and it looks horrendous. So I've had an almighty cock up, don't have enough lacquer. Bought the stuff months and months ago, and unfortunately I only bought a litre just to play with, and then I've never bought more for doing the whole rest of the van. So I've literally gone, right, let's lacquer everything. It's a Sunday and everywhere's shut. I've literally gone around and got just a few key areas, the inside of the apertures, the windscreen, the places that are an absolute bugger to rub down and get at. The roof has had a light dust coating on it. That's all I've got enough for, unfortunately. I've got about 100 mils of lacquer left in the gun, and I've got almost full coverage inside here, and along these sections here. Absolute cock up. I'm hoping with the little bit that I've got left, I'm just going to go around and tickle in a few little areas where it looks a little bit thin, where it hasn't got that nice deep gloss finish to it. What's going to happen if I try lacquering the roof tomorrow, now that it's had a bit of a dust coating of lacquer on? Is it going to adhere, or is it going to case of I now need to scuff up the roof again, just to scuff into that lacquer but without cutting into the paint, because then I'd have to re-base coat the roof. So I'm sorry that I've barely got any footage of the spraying today, because it's been a bit hectic and a bit manic and stuff, but as you can imagine, what I'm doing at the minute is all of the front end of the van, the edges are like the tops, like the curvature of the bumper and the edges where it disappears together, where you just can't get the paint in afterwards once it's all together. I'm just doing those edges first, like that, without any masking off, just in base coat, just around the tops and bottoms and stuff where they meet other things. Then I'm going to put everything back together, mask off the bits that I don't want paint on, like the grille and the headlights, and then spray the whole thing all in one go in base coat and then lacquer. I'm doing this way because I don't want to put everything on the van with no paint on, spray it all, and you can be able to see down the gaps between things where the paint just won't go down, but you can actually see down there's no paint in there. And I also don't want to go down the whole painting everything individually. If this was just a solid 2K colour, flat white, flat blue, flat green, flat red, you'd spray everything individually and you'd put it all together. But because this is a metallic, what I don't want to do is spray this one that day, spray that bit that day, and then you'd be able to see all different sort of shades and different amounts of the metallic from different batches that I've made up in my gun. So if I just make up one big batch of paint, I just do the whole side of the van, front, back, sides, it's all gonna be on the same batch, and it should all colour match, hopefully better, that's my theory anyway. And then I'll lacquer it all in one hit. 20 to 10. I have sprayed the inside edges of the wings, the slam bar, the top edge of the front bumper, the top edge and bottom edge of the rear bumper. Losing my train of thought, I am sleepy tired. I've checked that plastic grill that I'd sprayed in gloss black, and it actually is okay. I've just polished it up and it's come out all right. I do have a bit of solvent pop that's happened in that, because it's the first time I'd used this lacquer, and I just, because it's a grill and everything's really close together, I was really struggling to get the paint on and then struggling to get the lacquer on. I was like going crazy on it, and then put too much on because I got solvent pop. So it's all right. I'm gonna start putting the front of the van back together. Got about 15 minutes before she starts making tea. Yeah, it gives me about 45 minutes in total. I'm gonna move the van to the back of the garage. Oh Jesus! Move the van back. Get rid of these doors. Get all of the bits that are currently inside the van here. Down here to make a bit of space to move the van back. The heaters keep tripping the electrics because of the thermal cutout, so in the last few minutes of actually spray painting, I did it with the torch on my phone with no lights. All the lights went out. Don't know how much longer I've got left now until I get called in for tea. Right, so we've got some headlights, we've got two wings, we've got a slam panel, we've got a bumper, we've got some fog lights, we've got a grill, wings are down there. Let's see how much I can get of this put back together again before I get called in. Door adjustment. I meant, bollocks. So I need to move the door alignment a little bit. You can't do that with a fucking wing on. Oh. I've got to fit the water drainage pipes before the wings go on. So if you haven't seen these drainage kits, that's what it looks like. It's got a bracket, sits on top there. Nut, Jubilee, piece of pipe, a couple of sticky pads. So water's going to go down the tube and drain out the bottom and not sit on your wing. I think I probably should have peeled this masking tape off sooner. I don't know what it's going to be like. Big reveal, I'm pulling it off later and peeling my paint off with it. So both of the doors both sit a little bit like this. So the curve comes in a bit too close to the wheel arch, and there's a gap down there, and it's a bit tight down there. So the whole door needs to go like that a bit, and that's done on this bracket here. So I've just undone them, slid this bracket over just 1 millimeter and nipped them back up again. And that should straighten my door up. I need to do that with both sides. I'll put my door on now, see if my door sits right, because what was happening, I was shutting it and it was reliant on it hitting the bracket and the bracket lifting the door up, so when you open the door it dropped. Felt awful. Right, so in order to get all my front end aligned, I need my doors to be on. I've had these doors on and off so many times. Got used to it now though. So literally I can hold it with just one hand, having the door card off. And you need a cloth because it hurts because it's bloody heavy. There's a sharp edge in there. You can just hit the weight with one hand and you can hold that in place. So the other half of the hinge So the other half of the hinges are adjustable in terms of getting the door to go in and out. So you've got to get them right. So the one thing I am good at generally is doors, because I'm a locksmith. So I knew that moving that hinge that way, only 1 millimeter, would actually translate into probably about 3 millimeters of lift here. So the door is now sitting perfectly square to the sill. What's going to happen is the paint going to come with it. So the two bolts that are here on this side of the door, well, they're on a slot, which affects how the door sits in and out that way. So you can get the door cockeyed like that if it's sticking out. If you close your door and it's out here but in there, well, that's one of the 2 bolts that you need to adjust, so you can square up your door there, which affects here. And obviously a small adjustment there makes a big adjustment here because of the distance, how much it's going to move by. And now it's sat there at that height, and when I open the door, what did I just do? Oh, I locked it. And then when I open the door now, the door doesn't drop. Before I couldn't do that because when I pulled on it, the door would drop down. So it's naturally sitting at that height. So now I'm happy where that line is from a door. I can work that away from it. So next step is the wing. So I've got my drainage pipe on, which I did last night. I can now put my wing on, I think. I'm pretty sure you can put the aerial in. Do you know what, I'm going to double check. I'm going to go and grab my aerial and make sure that that goes in without having to take the wing off. Good job I checked, because look, I suspected that this would happen. The aerial and the drainage kit are fouling on each other, and that has got to get to there. Well, that soon turned into one of those 10-minute jobs. So I've ended up cutting the nut. So that nut, I marked it up with a pen, the corner that I wanted, because I didn't want to go disturbing my bracket at the top, so I kept all that in the same place rather than twisting it and grinding it with my fresh paint. Marked it up, took it out, angled around the corner off, put it back in, and it's give a little bit of clearance there now, so I've got a little gap. Let's try and get that sorted now. It's gonna have to go up. Has to go up. So water is now going to go down there, down the tube, and I drilled a hole in my bottom there. Yours won't look like that unless you've had to do what I've done and repair this entire area and rebuild and reconstruct this entire thing and put a new one of these on and all that jazz. Well, I'm going to try and get the bonnet on, put the wings on as best as I possibly can. Bolted them in place, but not bolted them like nice and solid inside the door edges, but not in the tops of the bonnet yet. There's 3 bolts in each wing on the top of the bonnet, near the bonnet, and I've got to get the bonnet on and then line up the wings to the bonnet. So that's the next step. And then work my way down. The camera is going to fall over because the tarpaulin is pushed against it because of the fucking wind. I'm sorry about the camera angles. It's as best as I can possibly do. Really stuck with space. Can't talk because I've got volts in my mouth.
Really, it's a 2-grand job, obviously. So in the hinges of the bonnet there is a little bit of adjustment for moving it about a bit. First time. Move that wing over that way a little bit. This bonnet's on and I'm just looking at lining things up. I mean, it's that feature there, obviously that bit there. So you've got a little bit of adjustment in the wing, so it looks like I could just move that way a little bit, get that line out, or bring that in a little bit, and then it's not bad there. Now, I think my bonnet is a little bit twisted. It's either twisted or something's not right with it, because it sits flush there and it sticks up here. But when I was doing a test fit before I started spraying, I found that if I wind out the adjustment bush, you get like a rubber bung which is on the underneath of the bonnet, and screw that out to make it taller. And then when you click it down and it locks in, the whole bonnet basically twists like that, and it keeps it up higher there and flush, and then forces that down so it all looks right. And then adjust that rubber bung to actually obviously allow it to go down, make space for it and have it so it just sort of like touches up so it doesn't like move around. Happy with the bonnet alignment. I think the next thing is a pair of headlights, because then I need to attach my centre plastic grille to the inside of my slam panel piece. It's 1:45 in the morning. I've just come in from the driveway and I've spent the last 6 hours just putting a whole front end of the van back together again, as quietly as possible, because I live on this cul-de-sac that's like, you can hear a pin drop. It's back together again. I got a little bit carried away, didn't get any footage. I think I got a few pictures. Everything was just an absolute pain in the ass. The person that designed the way that the slam panel fits on the front with those little round U-shaped clips and pins, they need to... That's that. Going to bed.